Travel is wonderful. Exotic destinations, rich culture, and a world of discovery await you. Well, at least according to every Viking cruise ad I've ever seen. But much like the ever-enticing pharmaceutical commercials, the real deal is much less glamorous than the first 5 seconds of picturesque family picnics and smiling children would lead you to believe, before they get into the litany of terrifying side effects. Last summer, I had the incredible opportunity to spend thousands of taxpayer dollars gallivanting around Morocco with 20 complete strangers. I mean, I received a scholarship from the State Department to participate in life-changing cultural exchange and citizen diplomacy through a rigorous 6-week Arabic immersion program in Rabat, Morocco, which is exactly what I put on my college application. Admittedly, it was life-changing, but unfortunately not for the reasons the State Department intended. I did learn some key life lessons, though. I learned how to go with the flow, focusing on the present moment, how to make the best of tough situations, and the importance of leaving your comfort zone. Or maybe I should say smashing, burning, destroying, and letting wild animals devour all evidence of your comfort zone. First, a disclaimer. I absolutely loved my trip. My host family, fellow students, teachers, residential director, and Moroccan culture. I gained so many incredible experiences, and even when they were unbelievable in a bad way, they formed memories I will treasure and stories I will tell for the rest of my life. Now, in order for you, my fellow travelers, to truly comprehend these stories, I'd like to give you a brief description of our program. I was a part of a cohort of 20 high school students from across the United States, and we were accompanied by one residential director named Addie, who had lived in Morocco and was fluent in the local dialect. Our group met, for the first time, in New York City for a short cultural orientation before flying out together for Morocco. I should have known things weren't going to go as planned as soon as I found out that our beloved bureaucrats had scheduled our flight so that we would fly from New York to Paris and have exactly 1 hour to go uneventfully through security in another country on another continent where none of us spoke the language, find our gate in an entirely different terminal in said foreign airport, and board our flight to yet another continent with every single one of our 23 bags. If you have ever been to an airport, you know right now that that did not happen. Our flight from New York left 3 hours late, just as it had every day for the past 3 weeks. After being severely berated by some angry French security officers for trying to get to our new later flight in Paris, we double-checked with the flight attendants and were repeatedly assured that our bags were safely loaded onto our new flight. Ha! Somehow we all managed to make it to Casablanca, Morocco, where we were then bused to Rabat 5 hours late, without any of our luggage. Shockingly, despite my intermediate French skills, our luggage remained in Paris and stayed there for the next 2 weeks. Luckily, when I packed, I thought ahead and put all of my shoes into my one carry-on. Thus commenced what I can only describe as our polar plunge into Moroccan culture. Was I expecting to have to try and buy a toothbrush and toothpaste by myself in a language I had no background in on my first day there? No. Was I expecting to have to wear the exact same t-shirt and pants and socks every single day for the first 14 days of our trip? No. Was I expecting to have to split a package of underwear with our residential director less than 72 hours after meeting her? No. I feel it's accurate to describe our collective experience as trauma bonding. Admittedly, we were definitely immersed in Moroccan culture, and we did grow much closer together as a group, while reminiscing about the wide variety of wonderful things we had packed in our checked luggage. American snacks, gifts to our host families, our retainers, nail clippers, toilet paper, and most importantly, our vast supplies of clothing. As we met our host families, experienced severe jet lag, got diarrhea from drinking the water, attempted to communicate via charades, tried to figure out how the tram system worked, and started our 120 hours of Arabic classes, sure would have been handy to have our luggage. But life doesn't always go your way. In fact, in my experience, it usually doesn't. And when you fly Air France, neither does your luggage. Throughout our trip, we had 4 weekend excursions to the other major cities in Morocco. These were 2-day trips, anywhere from 2 to 10 hours away from Rabat. Our second trip, we visited a beautiful mountain city called Chefchaouen, known for its blue painted houses. It was very hot. I mean, extremely hot, like almost Texas hot, like over 100 degrees. And then we went on a hike up a mountain. And then we ran around the city for 2 hours doing a scavenger hunt. And then I started throwing up. Now, it's arguable whether this was due to a questionable chicken dish I ate the night before or heat exhaustion, but I expect a mix of both. Luckily, between my bouts of vomiting, one of our Moroccan chaperones doctored me with a traditional Moroccan remedy of rubbing half of a lemon on my face. Yeah, because obviously lemon juice on your face stops you from throwing up. It actually worked perfectly. Just kidding, of course it didn't. I thus proceeded to puke intermittently for the duration of our 5-hour bus ride home through the mountains. It was so much fun. Also, I was wearing the same pants I wore for the first 2 weeks of our trip. And yes, they got puked on. I'm pretty sure they're cursed. Unfortunately, the next week, after eating another chicken dish in another city, I spent another morning puking right before another one of our 8-hour bus rides. My friends then banned me from eating any chicken outside the city of Vermont. Now, if I had a choice, would I have avoided these bouts of food poisoning? Yes, but I also got to experience incredible kindness and patience by our chaperones and the other students. I will also never forget my trip to Georgetown. Life is filled with challenges, suffering, and difficult situations, but God can and does bring good out of every situation. We just need to be open to receiving it. Our trip to Morocco also happened to coincide with the Muslim celebration of Eid al-Adha. Now, when you think of a Muslim religious holiday, you probably think of some version of Christmas or Hanukkah, where people exchange presents, say some prayers, and get together with family. Oh no, not quite. Eid al-Adha is the commemoration, according to Muslims, of Abraham showing his willingness to obey God and sacrifice his son Ishmael. But at the last moment, God stopped him and gave him a sheep to kill instead. And they celebrate just like anyone would, by butchering a live sheep on their roofs, of course. In the days leading up to Eid, there were a lot of unhappy sheep being carted around the city in questionable-looking metal carts and in the backs of trucks. The day of, I was walking down a main street and I saw a sheep bolting into traffic, running as if its life depended on it, because it did. 3 guys ran after it, trying to corral and tackle this poor sheep like a football. He didn't make it. I'll give you the advice our residential director gave us. Don't name the sheep and don't bond with it. It's going to die. This advice, unfortunately, was the fruit of Addie's own personal heartbreak. Needless to say, the celebration of Eid was a unique experience. Luckily for me and my vegetarian roommate, our host family introduced us to their sheep. Apparently it was an unusually friendly sheep. Luckily, we didn't have to witness the actual death of our furry friend. But all I can say is that I smelled and saw some things I can never unsmell or unsee. Apart from the mysterious different parts of the sheep that we consumed in subsequent meals, the intestines were, for some reason that I don't know and honestly was afraid to ask, dried on our clothesline next to our laundry over the next week. I have never been so grateful to be a Christian. No, but seriously, as a homeschooled Christian American, it was honestly a great opportunity to leave my comfort zone and learn more about the Muslim faith and Moroccan culture. Life rarely goes according to plan, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy life, make friends, have fun, and learn. God doesn't want us to stay in our little circle of safety out of fear. In fact, he repeatedly tells us not to be afraid, even if you fly Air France. He wants us to enjoy this beautiful world in all of its languages, people, and cultures, so that we can come to love him and his creation and bring others to love him as well. And so, when life gives you lemons, remember to rub them on your face.